Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me for a first look at this beastie. The first time that I have seen the new Mercedes-AMG G63 4x4 squared. Following on from the previous generation's G500 4x4 squared, this time around they have gone for the full-fat AMG 63 and we're going to be talking all about it. Plus, having owned a new generation G Wagon, a 63, for the best part of about 3 years, you can imagine this would be right up my street, and I want to talk as well today about why I haven't ordered one yet. We shall get to that. Now, also here on the Mercedes-Benz stand at Pebble Beach during Car Week 2022, we have some pretty cool things to go and take a look at, especially on the off-road theme, the EQG, the electric G Wagon concept, and inside Project Maybach, the collaboration between the late Virgil Abloh and Wagener, Chief of Design for Mercedes-Benz. We're going to take a look at that, and even the Maybach S680 that's available for customers, limited to only 150 cars based on that concept as well. So let's run through it all, have a look around, check out the cars from Mercedes-Benz Classic, but I think we're going to be exploring this, the new Mercedes-AMG G63 4x4 squared. All right, let's start with this. The new G63 4x4 squared. I have seen camo cars testing in all sorts of different places. We have been waiting for this to be introduced. We weren't sure if it would be a new G500 or a new G63, and it's kind of arrived under the radar to an extent, if I can say. And by the way, so many epic cars here. There's a 600 LT Spider, there's an Aventador SV, there's another McLaren 12C coming up that way. Welcome to Pebble Beach, but this is what we are here to say, presented in the satin Magno paintwork. So we are talking the full-fat AMG G63, which means up front the 4-litre bi-turbo V8, in this case 585 PS, that's 577 brake horsepower, 850 Newton meters of torque. Very similar setup to the regular G63, the same engine configuration in fact, so no changes there, but visually quite clearly expanded for utility, for off-road. At the back, the exposed off-roading tyre, the carbon fibre cover with the 4x4 squared logo there looks really smart. We've got the ladder up to the roof rack up top for whatever you might need to store up there. You've got the aggressive bars both here at the back, the mud flaps, and also if we come around towards the front again, mud flaps. We've got the bull bars up front on it as well. We've got the blacked out details like the blacked Mercedes star, which also acts as your adaptive cruise sensor, but otherwise all of the same technology that we saw introduced on the latest generation G Wagon, which has been an immense success. Still very visually true to the original, but under the skin, massive upgrades. For example, the new headlights still round, indicators still sitting proud up on the front of the bonnet, but we've got these wider carbon fibre arches, we've got the large off-roading tyres, we've got a significant increase in the ground clearance with the portal axles. In fact, the clearance of the car goes up from 234 millimetres on the regular car to 351, so we're talking 117 mil extra, just shy of 4 inches or so, 11.7 centimetres. Significant off-road clearance. Wading depth goes up from 70 centimetres to 91 centimetres, so something like this kind of deep into the water. Oh, look at that. McLaren P1 HDK going past, Ferrari F50 following, and a Ferrari F50 following that. Welcome to Car Week. That's just what happens around here. Those are now $4 or $5 million cars, those F50s, both rolling past together. Madness, absolute madness. So what else can we say about this? We've got the side exit exhaust, we've got this just beastly looking thing. I kind of want to climb up onto the top, but I guess I probably shouldn't do that right now. Even the trims up here, all carbon fibre as well, as it happens, and just presented in a very aggressive off-road styling. Now I do actually have the key to the car here, so we can take a very quick, cheeky look inside it, show you the interior of the new G Wagon, much the same as we've seen on the regular road car. We've got the G63 4x4 squared trim over on the grab handle on the passenger side, the digital displays on the screen, heated memory seats, all of the luxury interior fitment and finish that we know from the road cars. I suppose you have a look up through the sunroof towards what's going on up here. Now we do need to actually keep this locked, so I'm just going to quickly lock it back up for the moment. To show you up on the top, we've got this full utility tray up here, the carbon fibre for this front section. Oh look, is that I think it's a Gallardo of some description, not necessarily a Superleggera because it's a previous generation. We've got the lights up top, obviously for finding your way through the wilderness, wherever it might be that you are at that particular time. And just generally, an absolute monster. Really, really cool thing. Super pleased to have been able to see this because I love it. And we need to talk a little bit more, therefore, in a moment about why I haven't yet gone for one. But before we do, let's head into the stand and go see what we can find here. It is quite fun to see this again then, the Mercedes EQG. EQ being their electric brand, the G, of course, looking towards what the future of it might be. This is a concept, and I was actually at the launch of it at the IAA last year in Germany, but a few things about it to point out as we take a look around. You've got this dual tone finish, the gloss black for the upper sections, and it's almost chrome-like silver for the lower areas. Very distinctly G Wagon, obviously with its history, with many decades of different models, all staying very true to their identity and design and style, but obviously this is changing up the technology in a significant way. Around the back, while we might have a square box for storage, in this case to store the electric charging cables, it's likely the production version, which will arrive in a couple of years' time, will replace that for your more traditional spare wheel that will be mounted onto the back. A few things to point out though, you've got these illuminated strips all around the bodywork. As we come towards the front, the distinct indicators up top, the round headlights that we know from many generations of the G Wagon, even the shape and styling up here as well, with a completely different approach. The grille obviously not needed for the cooling, given you'll likely have 4 electric motors and a battery pack positioned quite differently to having the engine up front, but giving that electric twist with the blue illumination pattern that you have just inside. It's obviously going to be a big change when a G Wagon goes electric, but this is the direction things are heading, this is the way things are going, and it's great to see this, and I suppose the embracing of the future. Just hopefully the combustion engines continue for the more utility and off-roading terrain side of things as well. I want to point out on the concept here, the tyres, and their very unusual tread pattern. Of course, concepts allow an opportunity to demonstrate things, to show things, to try things, things that are a little bit more out of the norm. This is certainly something. Have you ever seen anything like the Project Maybach? The mix of luxury and utility in a collaboration that was between the Chief of Design at Mercedes, Wagener, and the late Virgil Abloh, a legend of the design and fashion industry who sadly passed away and lost his battle to cancer last year. But having penned this before, let's take a look around and also check out the S680 that pays a bit of tribute to it as well. Now, it mixes some design elements that we know from the G Wagons that we've just been taking a look at. This slab-sided design, the round headlamps, the very flat bonnet. This is electric, and in fact up here you have the solar cells for charging, but then you also have the bull bars, these enormous off-roading wheels and tyres, this bar that runs along the side, this rollover hoop protection with the storage rack up top, all of the lighting that's all around it. And we come towards the back and you've also got this dual tone colour scheme with the obsidian black over this sand hue, the dual tone being something you often see on both the Maybachs but also on the G Wagons as well. And then to come and take a look inside, familiar Maybach badge worn just there, you have seats that fold completely down into a bed position for the ultimate in comfort. All of the fittings and trimmings, nice materials. You've got a massive passenger screen. As you can see, that actually rotates and changes between different displays depending what you'd like to have inside, but some lovely, lovely touches and elements. The lights that you have up top, again, like being on the G Wagon, you can see that display actually, how it folds over when you want to drive, how you've got the start, flip switch and toggle. Just some unique details added to this. Even notice on the bolts how you have the Maybach emblems right on the very end of them, all created just for this, and that signature grille that we have up front to go with it all as well. So after creating this concept, they actually have introduced this based on the Maybach S680, the S-Class that we know, with the dual tone, the colours to match, the wheels to match as well. But the S680 that I've been able to experience and drive, the height and pinnacle of luxury in road cars, to be able to enjoy the pillows, the cushions, all of the finishings inside, the latest generation S-Class with the tablet display, the folding seats in the rear, the champagne cooler between those rear seats, and this hand-painted finish with the pinstripes that really just add that ultimate level of detail and design to the Mercedes Maybach, that obviously was a brand originally separate from Mercedes-Benz and now brought in to be the flagship luxury vehicles within the product portfolio. Let's have a quick look inside then. With the doors of this open, you can see through to the luggage storage behind. In fact, the way that those headrests, or pillows we could say, for sleeping work, folding up and out at the back, this is really, really quite cool inside. Look at the details, even down to the pedals. We've got the compass here in the dashboard, the sound system, storage bins and buckets everywhere. Obviously, you've got the cameras sitting out on the edges for the mirrors as well, which are presumably through this massive display, which is currently playing in a game driving through the woodlands, which is quite fun to see as well. This is really, really cool. And look at that view. We've got that split window for the rear, full glass that wraps and curves over the whole top of the car. That would be quite the feeling to be driving in. Really, really fun what they've done with this. All the attention to detail, the storage bins and buckets on the doors, lock and unlock touch panel controls there on the door handles, which look like they tuck in and fold away as well. The lighting, all with these circular shapes everywhere you look. Everything about it obviously thought through between Virgil Abloh and Gordon Wagener. This is a car I actually have a personal connection to. Amazing to see it again. The C111-II from 1970. I actually drove this very car at the Mercedes test center in Immendingen in Germany last year. And in some ways it's almost a forerunner to the SLS with the gull-wing doors. But what's quite special also about the display with it here is that up on the wall is the Andy Warhol painting of the C111. The painting to go with the very car. Mercedes-Benz commissioned back in the 80s a number of their cars to be made into Andy Warhol paintings. This is one of those, but awesome to see it again. Next to it is something very different though. This is the Vision AMG, which takes some of the styling of the EQXX that I was lucky to drive recently, also at Immendingen as it happens, but with an AMG take on it. As we come around towards the front, for example, that grille, the styling that we're familiar with, look at the way that it illuminates, the very, very smooth, slippery bodywork, which is all about being as aerodynamic and having the lowest drag coefficient possible. But this is certainly a cool way to look into the future of AMG and the direction that things might be going. Back over to the 4x4 squared. It is such a beast. And other things I love about the G Wagons, if I unlock it again quickly, the feel of all of the locks, you know, the way that opens. And check this out. The wooden inlays for the boot floor, presumably an option. You could have the regular carpet, but that's quite a nice touch to have back there. The diamond quilting, even the carbon fiber that you have for the grab handle on the inside of the door. Then when you close it, you get that fantastic thud. Obviously the weight to it when you're carrying the spare off-roading tire on the back. Carbon inlays continue all around the exterior of the 4x4 in the back, finished in the same way as up front with the upgraded leather interior, the dual tone for this car. As I mentioned, up in the front of the car as well, that inlay on the passenger grab handle. You have your portal axle G modes, your controls in the center for the locking diffs, but obviously everything else going on as we know it from the regular G63. We can say just close that, lock it back up, shut the car for the time being. Another pretty epic car arriving. Over there we have the LaFerrari. Is that a LaFerrari Aperta, in fact? Mega LaFerrari. Temporary pause because this is just supercar mayhem. 458 Spider, followed by 458 Italia, followed by, is that a 720 that's very Senna-esque? I think, perhaps. What a crazy kit on that. And then Porsche, Ferrari, just endless, just non-stop. Look at that, P1 GTR style rear wing. I keep going back over to the G and then spotting something crazy. And this time around, it is James, the Stradman, with his Bugatti Veyron in the pink and chrome. Look at that, in the daylight. Madness. Stands out from a million miles away. It just keeps going. Mercedes Maybach S-Class. Then we've got a 300 SL Roadster. That's stunning, absolutely stunning. My favorite of classic cars. And we've got a Rolls-Royce Ghost that follows on. I mean, it's endless. You just don't know what's coming next. After we've taken a full look then around this beastie, the AMG G63 4x4 squared, and given I'm clearly in awe of it as a car and I very much enjoyed my G63, the question we have left open is why have I not ordered one yet? And it's a bit more complicated and perhaps a bit more of a surprise than you might expect because it's actually out of my hands. It's not that I can just walk into a dealer and order one. The reason for that is in the UK market, they haven't actually decided if the new 4x4 squared is going to be offered for sale at all yet. Now, supply of these is clearly going to be very limited, the type of car that it is. It's not exactly a mass-produced mass-produced machine, and demand for them is very high from different regions around the world. The car is actually left-hand drive only, and the UK is a right-hand drive region. That's not a problem for me per se. I'm not adverse to left-hand drive cars. My SLS Black Series is left-hand drive. I have a few other left-hand drive cars in the garage, so given I'll be traveling into different countries and driving around Europe all the time, I don't mind that at all, not a problem. But it does mean that they haven't decided if they'll be putting them for sale, and if they do, it will probably only be a very small number that actually come to the UK. The G500 4x4 squared, they weren't sold in massive numbers either, and there'll obviously be a bit of a priority behind it. So no doubt AMG One customers who have been very patient with the deliveries of their ones will get first priority. Perhaps as a customer of a couple of Black Series cars and AMG GTs of different derivatives, I might be able to secure one as well as owning the previous or the regular G63. Fingers crossed, basically. I've put in my name, I put in a letter of interest, I've expressed as much interest as I think I possibly can, that should it be possible, I'd love to do it. I have no idea on specifications and details, but obviously I'd love to have some fun, take it for some serious off-roading at some point, take it to some crazy locations and use it as a bit of a tow car, as I have with the G63 for various of the supercars as well, because it's a monster and it mixes a bit, as we talked about with the Project Maybach, that luxury and utility. You know, inside here you have an interior almost like an S-Class. You have all the technology, you have the leathers, you have the nice materials, you have the wooden boot floor, for example, but you also have a car that is immensely capable, that can wade through some seriously deep water, can do some crazy stuff, as you might have seen on Whistling Diesel's channel with his G63 and the things he's been getting up to with that recently, also in red as it happens, but the regular G Wagon as opposed to the portal axle equipped G63 4x4 squared. Anyway, if I should be able to get one, I would love to do so. It'd be super cool to have it on the channel, to share it with you guys, even if it might be quite a big thing for UK roads and quite awkward to park anywhere, because it's huge, wide, and very difficult to kind of see what's around you from. But nonetheless, that wouldn't stop the fun. Anyway, what a tour here at the Mercedes-Benz stand at Pebble Beach. The EQSs and electric cars alongside us, the classics, the concepts inside, the Vision AMG, EQG Concept, and of course taking a full look at this, the new 4x4 squared, the Mercedes-AMG G63 4x4 squared here today. But that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching, as always, guys, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.